Jonathan from Rain Brothers here. We are out on a service call. We got a customer. We're just getting here. We've got an old jet pump in this pump house, and let's see what's going on. So, pressure gauge is the best indication of what could be happening with a pump. We're going to run the water and see what is happening when we run the water. So we'll hook up a hose here, or just open the spigot. And if you come in a little bit closer, we'll watch this pressure gauge here. So we can see the pressure gauge dropping. We don't know what the cut-in pressure is set to on this pressure switch. So it's dropping off quick, and the water flow is stopping. So right away I know two things just from that simple test. Two things that I'm going to look for. One, first and foremost, is there enough water in the cistern or in your well or in your shallow well water tank? Because if there isn't, it's going to do exactly what it's doing here. It just can't catch up with the demand if there's no water in the tank. Second thing I'm going to check is the foot valve on the suction line. If this pump loses prime, it's going to do this exact same thing. It'll run, but it doesn't have water in this suction line. It's not fully primed, so it's trying to reprime itself, which is why it takes so long to build back up the pressure. So the other thing I want to mention, and if you come in close you can see it, so this pump is continuing to run. It is building pressure, so there's probably water in the cistern, and it's probably the suction line that's causing the problem. But if you notice, right here is a check valve. This is the suction end of the jet pump, and this is a check valve right here. This should not be here. If you read through a jet pump installation manual, you'll see that they mention two things for the system to work flawlessly. The first is that the pump should be the highest point in the system. And the reason for that is you want the water to flow back to the tank, and you want the air to be purged when you're repriming the pump right here. You want water to flow downhill and air to flow uphill and out through this priming port, if you can see this. So that's the first thing that the pump manuals mention. The second thing is that there needs to be a foot valve in the tank at the bottom of the suction line, and a foot valve is the same as a check valve. And the reason for that is you want to be able to prime this whole suction line all the way back to the tank. If you have a check valve here and you have another one in the tank, you'll never know when this line has a break in it or when there's a leak in the line, because this is not telling the story. It won't let that leak past this point. So my guess is that their foot valve is non-functioning, or their suction line came apart somehow and there's a leak in that suction line, which is causing this pump to lose prime between uses and take forever to re-pressurize. But let's take a look in the cistern and see if that's the case. So of course this is about the worst case scenario for what we want to see when we peek in the cistern. And I'll show you what it is. I don't know if you could tell from that video, but right about here is the start of a cordoned off area with concrete blocks, and those concrete blocks act as a filter, and that suction line is right in here, and there's no access to this point without deconstructing all those concrete blocks. As you can see here, we wound up replumbing that suction line and taking out that check valve so we could get an accurate depiction of what was happening on that suction line, whether it was leaking. We also went ahead and replaced the pump and pressure tank. And then inside the tank, we cut out that rusted fitting and replaced it with a section of poly pipe and then a new foot valve, and brought that outside that concrete barrier so that it could be accessed easily in the future. Then we put in this priming port. It's just a ball valve that you can open when the system is not pressurized to pour water in right there to reprime the pump. When you're repriming the pump, it's very important to sit and watch that water. If there's burping like that, it still needs more water. We want to purge all the air, and we're going to stop only when the water level stops to drop and all the burping ceases. So now we pressurize the system, manipulate the valves. We just throttle them open slowly as it builds pressure to hold prime, and then test it out on the faucet, and we got a successful repair on this jet pump system. Bam, building pressure, and we'll wait for it to stop, then we'll run through some more cycles, opening the faucet, letting that pressure tank drain, and watching to make sure it doesn't drop off again, the pressure doesn't drop off again, and that pump remains primed and working as it should.